Next time you wander around the streets where you live, take a good look at the fences that surround nearby houses and properties. You might be surprised to realise just how much fences vary in size and shape from one house to the next. Some fences are solid walls that block all movement. Other fences have spaces that let through light and sound. And some fences are incredibly ornate and full of details. Yet, despite all of these differences, all fences perform the same basic functions. They enclose and protect a house or property. And they usually have a gate so that people and objects can enter and exit the property. In many respects, the external boundary of a cell, which is called the plasma membrane, is much like a fence that surrounds a house. This is because the plasma membrane surrounds or encloses the components of a cell so that they can't escape, just like a fence surrounds and encloses a house. And a plasma membrane has channels that determines what material can enter and exit a cell, just like a fence has gates that determine what can and can't enter a property. The aim of this video is to discuss the structure and function of the plasma membrane, comparing it to the structure and function of a fence. A fence can be made of all sorts of materials: brick, wood, steel, but a plasma membrane is made of two layers of phospholipid molecules. Phospholipids are a type of lipid that consists of two long hydrophobic or water-fearing hydrocarbon chains linked to a hydrophilic or water-loving phosphate head. In a cell membrane, the phospholipids form two layers, with the hydrophilic heads orientated outwards and the hydrophobic tails orientated towards the centre. We call the top layer of phospholipids the outer plasma membrane, and the bottom layer of the phospholipids the inner plasma membrane. This double-layered upside-down arrangement of phospholipids might seem unusual, but it's actually very stable, which keeps the plasma membrane strong. Embedded within the phospholipid molecules are proteins. Think of proteins as gates in a fence. Although proteins only make up 10% of molecules in the plasma membrane, they're much larger than phospholipids and make up about half of the weight of the plasma membrane. There are two types of proteins present within the plasma membrane: integral proteins and peripheral proteins. Integral proteins, which are sometimes called transmembrane proteins, are large proteins that span the entire thickness of the plasma membrane. Integral proteins are firmly held in place within the plasma membrane and can't easily be removed. Peripheral proteins are small proteins found on either the inner or the outer surface of the plasma membrane. Peripheral proteins are only loosely associated with the heads of the phospholipid molecules, so they can be easily removed from the plasma membrane. There are many different types of plasma membrane proteins, and each protein has its own different function. Plasma membrane proteins can be receptors, enzymes, transport molecules, attachment proteins, motor molecules, or marker molecules.